across a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman.
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch in the Roo, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, inspiring people to just be better, to look better, to feel better, to treat each other better every damn day of their lives. And our Friday show, presented by our friends Mark and Jay from North Coast Wealth Management. Mark and Jay want to get your money working for you. They want to look at your situation and get your money working for you in the market. They are about you. They are Spartans, 1995 grad. Mark's a certified financial planner. Jay is a lawyer. You can call them 248-626-2000, 248-626-2000. Email them at info@northcoastwm.com or check them out online, northcoastwm.com, for more information. When you call them, let them know Couch in the Roof sent you. Free consultation. See if Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management are a fit for you. Jason, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, my friend. As you can see in front of you, the brass spittoon is the rivalry trophy. Our listener sent those to us, so we know.
Awesome.
Because I thought it was an SEC trophy when you asked me on a show, and he was very, very, very offended. So thank you, sir, for shipping that to us.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
You never know when you come in and you see your name on a box, like what's going to happen. So.
Yeah, so for our live listeners, a little different show today. Back to the old school times. This is like 2018 show here.
Man, we've been doing it that long.
We've been doing it a while, man. The old 10 to noon show, or 10:30 as this got started, all based, apologies, around my work schedule with the Journal and some things I've got to do this afternoon and this morning. But glad you're listening. We're going to dig into your Groovy Donut Twitter questions here momentarily. Do we have anything that we need to get to before we do that? I do want to say this. The information for the tailgate next week is starting to come through with Skymint. So 9:30 to 12:30 is the tailgate. I won't be there the whole time. I've got to go cover the game. But we'll start the live show around 9:30. And the menu came in from our man Doug Warren, who's part of the crew, the chefs over there at Skymint, for the Backyard Brawl Tailgate Brunch. Grab-and-go breakfast burritos loaded with eggs, potatoes, and cheese. Your choice of bacon, sausage, or vegetarian, with chef-made salsa, French toast sticks, hot off the griddle with notes of cinnamon and vanilla, served with warm maple syrups. Oh, man. Caramel apples. Coffee cake muffins. Homemade hot cocoa. I'm drooling over here. So anyway, the food is going to be outstanding. And we'll do a live show. We'll hang out. We're going to have giveaways. I think we'll have some Couch in the Roof coffee mugs to give away. We'll have some gift cards to Front 43, to Midtown Brewing Company, to Groovy Donuts. And so it'll be fun. If you're there, chances are you'll get something free out of it, enjoy great food, and hang with us. And that's, of course, at the East Lansing location of Skymint on Coolidge Road. And about 9:30 in the morning on October 30th. We're doing
a show? What's the show going to consist of? You babbling about Michigan State and I just get high?
That's it.
All right, good.
That's the
I'm
show.
in then.
You're in?
Yeah.
There we go. This is going to be great.
Okay, it's going to be fun.
It's going to be good. I think it'll be fun to be around people again. And I hope it's going to be fun to be around people. It should be... It should be outstanding. Do you want to dig into these Groovy Donut Twitter questions?
Of course.
All
Eric
right.
Schultz, more likely to produce victory. MSU holds Corum and Haskins to under 100 yards combined, or Walker rushes for over 100 yards?
It's a good question. I think it's more, though, that they hold Michigan's running game in check, because that's what Michigan does. And Michigan State has this other element. And more important than the total rushing yards for Walker. And like, you could make an argument either way on this thing. You could Graham Stout this all day. But the Walker had, what do you have, 84? He had upper 80s in yards, something in the 80s against Indiana, and yet it wasn't a real fruitful running day until the end when he helped salt the game away. And so you can have a total rushing yards that looks pretty good, but if you're not doing it at 4 yards a carry when it matters and you're not able to run the football, it's not as important. So I think if they keep Michigan's running game in check, given that that's what Michigan does, that would bode incredibly well. I would be stunned, obviously, if it was to that extent.
Next one from Eric. How much more do you think we'll know about MSU's chances after this weekend? If state fans are going to be confident in a victory next week, what should we realistically hope to see tomorrow in Ann Arbor?
So I don't know that you'll learn. I mean, it's possible that Northwestern played okay last week, that it's somewhat competitive. I think if Michigan steamrolls Northwestern, it's probably not a good sign if you're a Michigan State fan. But I think the bigger thing, just big picture on the season, tomorrow, the game that matters is Ohio State, Indiana. Not that Indiana is going to beat Ohio State. And Indiana's defense may eventually break because their offense just isn't good enough to take advantage of certain things. And you see that in games where the defense can only do so much so long. But we saw Indiana's defense look really good. And they gave Michigan State all sorts of trouble, outplayed Michigan State's offense, frankly, most of the game. And so if Ohio State steamrolls that Indiana defense, that is trouble for the rest of the Big Ten. That's, to me, because Ohio State's played 2 impressive games against shit teams. What you're looking for tomorrow is against a decent defense for a while. Is Indiana able to keep that Ohio State offense in check and keep the game competitive? They are. A lot of other teams, I think, might feel like they have a shot. But if Ohio State's really rolling and they just, this winds up being 52-6, I think that's just trouble for everybody else.
Last one from Eric Schultz. Jason, some woman who worked at Potter Park Summer Day Camp circa 2001 once told me that a deer killed more zookeepers per year than any other animal because they're more powerful than people realize. Assuming that's still true, do you still think you could beat a deer in a fight? I think someone lied to you, dude, in 2001. I don't know. Did you ever read a story about
deer
zookeepers being dropped by the dozens by deer? Listen, I was talking about a fight. If it were my life versus the deer's life, I feel like I would get this extra strength and I would snap the deer's neck.
I feel like the deer would beat you.
No.
Because
what's the deer going to do? Give me hoofs?
Well, deer
Give me a right hoof?
They have sharp hooves, by the way, and they're powerful. Yeah, you don't want to
thing by the neck,
deer.
dude. I'll have the thing by the neck, wrangled down, and just punching it right in its forehead.
So a frightened deer versus a frightened Jason Nick.
Yeah,
you take
dude,
Jason Nick.
If my life is on the line, man. It's like those stories you hear about the guy that lifts the car up off the train tracks to save the family. I would snap that deer's neck.
I will.
I want to know. I want a forensic accountant on the zookeepers that actually died due to deer.
I will say this, that in terms of just being frightened, and while the deer may be frightened, deer are also really stupid. I mean, they keep running out in front of cars, right?
Well, guess who's called the Rube? Dumb meets dumb in a cage match.
Oh, man, I want to see this.
Yeah, give me a deer. Potter Park Zoo.
That would be a story we're telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company, which is a great place, by the way, this weekend to start either day with their brunch specials and enjoy their outdoor patio while it lasts. It's covered. It's outstanding. Their whole setup there is outstanding. Their brunch menu, their full menu, their beer selection. That's 402 South Washington Avenue in downtown Lansing.
Dominic up next. 2009 Graham options, and would the Rams money line count?
Yeah, like usually NFL games don't fall into when he says 2009, of course, he's talking about betting heavy favorites on the money line, like $1,000 to win 100, that sort of thing. Usually the NFL games don't fall into this because the NFL teams are just too closely matched up, and even if there's a big line, there's always risk. I feel like this does, don't you? Like the idea that the Lions could actually win this game in Los Angeles.
Something would have to happen to Stafford, obviously.
Right.
But even then, I think you still win the money line.
And that can always, I mean, that's the danger of the 2009 Graham, is that something can happen.
How bad you want $100?
And eventually it did happen to me. So, yeah, I would say that's the best one. Other things with a money line that looked and when I saw this question, I went through a couple of these things because it's not great. It depends on, the book you play. A lot of books take the money line off when you get into the 20s. So, like Alabama, there is no money line against Tennessee. But I think if there's if you parlay Alabama on the money line, Michigan on the money line, all these teams, Penn State on the money line, it doesn't pay a lot, but that's a 2009 Graham parlay that I'd feel really, really good about.
Dan Grafe, is there any way to find out what the gambling odds were in August if you bet MSU and Michigan to both be 7-0 to start the season. I don't think there's a way.
Yeah, and I don't think there were such a. I mean, I don't think there's such an odds were out there. I mean, that's a really
specific.
Yeah.
I think you would be able to do that bet and go up to the counter. You know, a lot of those books take like weird bets like that, but who knows?
Yeah. I mean, you could.
It would be high, right?
Well, and here's the thing you could have done, right? And somewhere, some way, you might be able to parlay like a roll it up sort of bet on Michigan State undefeated for a while or something, and you could sort of. But yeah, you wouldn't be able to. I don't think that would absolutely exist. It would. What's interesting now is looking back on it, and is nobody saw that coming, but neither team has actually won a game yet that you went, holy smokes, they beat them.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's what I wound up playing out because Miami's always overrated. That's their thing, and nobody that anybody has played to this point has been like incredible, and that'll change. Obviously, they play each other. They both got to play Penn State. They both got to play Ohio State. It gets a little more real.
Next one from Dan. If Mel Tucker leaves, would that hurt more than Saban?
I don't think so. Because when Saban left, it hadn't been done really before, right? When they had built something finally, there was a feeling like that Citrus Bowl team in '99 felt like the beginning of, like, that Citrus Bowl was the biggest thing until the Rose Bowl, the biggest pilgrimage of MSU fans to a bowl game. It was a huge deal. And D'Antonio hadn't happened. And so that was like, now people thought with Bobby Williams that they had sort of kept it together, what was, and obviously that fell apart quickly. So maybe with Mel Tucker, there's a little less certainty about what would be next. But I think people have been through it. People have seen somebody else do it. I mean, I'm not saying it wouldn't hurt Michigan State fans badly. I'm just saying I think Saban was probably worse.
And people often claim that the Saban championship at LSU would have been Michigan State's, right?
Well, I think he would have.
I know it's a long shot to say that, but,
He was building something. There's no question. And the other thing that I think eventually he would have gone to the NFL. I think that was something itch he wanted to scratch. I just think maybe the LSU years before the Dolphins might have stayed at Michigan State if Peter McPherson and Saban had a better relationship, or he'd even let him come back after he left.
Ryan Allen, what's your record prediction for MSU the rest of the year? Also, you think Reed, Walker, and or Naylor leave after this year?
I do. I think all three are probably gone. Now, it'll depend on, draft stock and all that stuff. But, a guy like, think about Naylor. He's got great speed, who's had injury trouble. How much more is he going to be able to do at the college level? I think you get to a point where this is your moment in the college game. Like, what else is there for you to do? Come back and return more kicks, and I get the idea, but what does that do to your stock? Like, at a certain point, you have to go, I think, especially in football, and I do think all of them will go. As for the record prediction for Michigan State rest of the year, I'm going to say 3-2. I think that's what I said last week. And I could see 2-3, and I think, but the traits MSU has had in winning games where they've been outplayed, you could argue that at some point that'll bite them. But also that's a thing that's there. And so when they're playing Purdue, which looks like a pretty good team, at least really good defensively, that trait is still there in terms of an advantage, something Michigan State does that they have. So if I had to bet one way or another, 9-3 or 10-2, I would take 10-2 for sure. Before we continue, a reminder, Groovy Donuts has Halloween donuts. Halloween donuts are here. Joining the fray this week, you've got jack-o'-lanterns and gremlins, and starting next week, the Mummy and Frankenstein, just really good stuff. And still, of course, Caramel Monsters and Ghosts, which came on the circuit last week. These are by pre-order, so go to groovydonuts.com and place your order. Make Groovy Donuts part of your tailgate weekend, part of any weekend. And, obviously you've seen me drool over Groovy Donuts. You know how I feel about Groovy Donuts. But I'm telling you right now, if you've had other donuts, they just don't quite stack up. There is a difference in the care and quality of Groovy Donuts. 2 locations, Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing, and also in Williamston.
Bo McJunkins up next. I don't believe Mel Tucker will take the LSU job, but wouldn't it help to squash that rumor now? Seems like he'd be quick to deny if there was no chance. And from Derek R. Spartan, what's the word from the Tucker camp? Why doesn't he squash the rumors like Jimbo did? How can I buy a Tuck coming gear if I'm not sure if he's leaving?
It's a good question.
Tuck going.
Yeah. No, and I don't have any specific intel yet on this, hoping to have a little more. But a couple things. One, I don't think if you're a coach, that you can. First of all, I don't know what he'll do, but I also don't know that you can squash every rumor that comes up about you. Like Mel Tucker is going to be up for a number of jobs, or people are going to be curious about him, and he hasn't been offered this job. There's still a head coach in place, even though he's out, sort of. I just don't know what, the one thing he should say, and he probably will next week, is, I'm really happy here. Like this, I think we can build here. That's what he ought to say, something to that degree, and he'll get asked about it for sure. But I also, I don't. It'll be interesting because they're out recruiting this weekend. You can see the tweets from these guys, Courtney Hawkins and number of somebody was getting on a plane yesterday. I can't remember which assistant coach it was. They're out recruiting all weekend, and I guarantee you this is a question that they've got to deal with. And so that would be interesting to see what they're telling recruits about it. And he won't be the first coach that's a hot commodity in some other place. And you'd rather it this way than them asking, are you going to get fired? Are you even going to be there in 2 years? So it's very rare that you have a coach that people are certain will give you 5 full years. And the other thing that all these guys now have as recruits, which helps them, is the ability to transfer easily. And so if you go somewhere and that coach leaves you, you can go with them. You can go somewhere else. You can wait and see what the other coach is. You have a little more flexibility and freedom.
Bo McJunkins, do you think Nick Rolovich slept on the couch the night he walked away from his $3 million job because he didn't want to get the vax?
Yeah, I'm guessing his wife's on board, though. You don't.
You have to be, kind of.
Yeah, you don't. That sort of marriage doesn't work. Otherwise, he would have been vaxxed. Put it that way. There's just
unbelievable. Next one from Bo. Is it wrong I'm starting to like Lane Kiffin?
So hold on, let me put it like this, though. Like, obviously, I think the vaccination is a smart thing to do. I think it's safe because that's what medical people say, right? And I believe it may have really helped save me last spring. But for $3 million job, what would you inject into yourself to keep that job?
HIV.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I mean, it's curable now, right?
Certainly, I would look.
I mean, what you're asking for me to go extreme? I guess HIV for $3 million a year.
Yeah,
I'd fight it.
Yeah,
call magic. Bo McJunkins, is it wrong that I'm starting to like Lane Kiffin? He's entertaining in his interviews and seems to be comfortable at his current place in life. He's a great guy. Like Lane.
He certainly seems to have found a place that's a fit for him too. And look, I don't know that.
Be gone.
I don't know that. I don't know that I like Lane, but I enjoy Lane. You know what I mean? There's a difference. I do find him entertaining, and I don't find him.
He's a great interview.
Well, and the other thing is, he seems to be he seems flawed, but a little genuine. If that makes sense. Like, I don't know.
Doesn't care about defense.
Yeah, there's some things I certainly enjoy about him. But I mean, if I met him, I might think he's a total douche. But I've talked to him.
Because he looked through you?
Actually, I've interviewed him before. He was the offensive coordinator? He must have been when Michigan State played Alabama in 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember they had these little podiums set up that, not like podium, like big press conference. Like you're like 2 feet away, if that. Like you're talking to him eye to eye. No, he was great, and he did not look through me a la Jim Delaney.
Last one from Bo. How many Spartan fans will be watching next week's game on mute?
Because of the Gus Johnson thing, Joel Klatt.
Oh, it's going to be a tough one.
And
you have to find Blaha.
Well, that's the problem, though, is, with streaming services and stuff, and almost nothing in the delays, nothing lines up anymore. You can't really do that like you could in the 80s when TV was in real time.
Yeah, that's true. So listen to our podcast about that.
There you go.
Jeff Oswald. Has Mel Tucker addressed the LSU rumors with his team?
I don't think so, but I don't know. Well, actually, I shouldn't say I don't think so. I don't know.
You'd think he'd have to. And guys are going to see it.
Yeah.
Talk to him. Hey, coach, you ain't going to leave us? Kind of in a joking fashion, right? I think he would just, it'd be easier to say something that at this moment, I am, you can't really deny that you're not interested, though, because if they come with $10 million a year, you're gone.
Right. You got to have a real relationship with your players who understand great opportunities. And I should have said I don't think so. I didn't mean to say that. My mind was in two different places.
What a guffaw. Believable, Graham.
Yeah. But, I don't know. I would think somebody would ask him where there'd be some sort of, I want to be here with you, sort of thing, or we're in this together right now. Who knows? But it is a weird week, too, that the players have a little bit of time away. Not, it's not like a regular week, but certainly he would have had to deal with it.
Jonathan B., would this be the most devastating MSU loss since the 2011 Big Ten Championship against Wisconsin? I'm very nervous.
Trying to think. I mean, they've had losses to Michigan since. They've had bad losses. I don't devastating in what? I mean, certainly in terms of optimism being crushed a little bit by. That's a good question. I don't know. Because I don't really have the same. I'm just trying to think of all the different losses they've had. Thanks.
Ponder.
I'll give you one that might stack up, and I don't remember how people were feeling at the time exactly, but I kind of remember what I wrote. When they lost to Nebraska in 2015 on the road, and they blew that game, and it looked like that might keep them out of the college football playoff. Like, that was a moment where you thought, but they still had to go to Ohio State that year. So I don't know. Because I don't know if people really believe that team was going to the playoff then. It's a good question, fair question.
Next one from Jonathan B. Have you considered dressing as Hondo for Halloween? Gruden jersey, bearskin cap, etc.
The problem is I don't know that
if people would get it.
Yeah. And how
some would.
Yeah.
But then the other 99% would be like, what the fuck is he doing?
Yeah. And you wouldn't want to add any padding because people would just think, Graham's really let himself go.
And how do you get a Gruden jersey? Jeff Oswald. Izzo and at one time D'Antonio could give a master class on using the disrespect card. Any schools do it better?
Well, they both. I mean, the thing that gives Michigan State that ability is that they were middling programs for a long time and rose up at different. Michigan State football wasn't able to sustain it, but Michigan State basketball was. So they come from a certain place, right? Neither one of those guys took over juggernaut programs. They took over middle of the pack Big Ten programs, and so that allows that to exist. So it would have to be somebody I think who's had similar deals and see. Like, anybody else see that sort of disrespect? Does Iowa get that sort of disrespect? I don't know who gets that disrespect, who wins more than them. It's a fair question, but I don't know. But yeah, it's certainly the situation sets up well for them.
Jeff Oswald, in a world where they exist, which would be more valuable, a Graham basketball, soccer, or softball card?
Before I answer this, if you ever get any of these cards and you've got some extra money to invest with, because I'm telling you, that's the right. If you have a Graham Couch basketball card, you want to go to Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management, or if you have a 401k from a prior employer, or you want to help your kids get into college, anything like that. These guys are strategic wealth managers, and they are fiduciaries for their clients. That means their clients' interests come first. They are not going to try and get you into some hot product or investment trend. They want to assess your needs, your situation, and invest wisely based on your goals and interests. Doesn't matter where you live. These guys are based in Michigan, but they have clients all over the country. You can find them at northcoastwm.com. Give them a call, 248-626-2000, 248-626-2000, or shoot them an email, info@northcoastwm.com. Let them know Couch and the Rube sent you. Free consultation. Find out if Mark and Jay are a fit for you. To answer the question, all of it is absurd, of course, but you'd want a Graham Couch basketball card because there's enough delusion and lore there in my own mind that soccer or softball, it'd be more like, you remember that Billy Ripken fuckface card?
Yeah.
The Graham Couch basketball card might have that sort of appeal to it.
And speaking of cards, Graham, I'm going to be at the Lansing Mall for my first card show as a dealer since I was 13 years old. So
exciting.
It's going to be fun.
Absolutely.
Swing by if you're local. Jay Riemenschneider. Both are hot commodities. Tucker for college jobs and maybe the pros. Juwan Howard to the pros for sure. I don't think he would leave for another college. So who stays at their current gig longer?
It's a good question. You'd have to say right now that it's Juwan Howard just because Tucker's name's coming up and who knows. But yeah, I mean, I have no way to answer that. But I do think both guys will have those options, and I do think part of it will depend on what's going on in their current situation, and that may be a little bit different for each of those. For Mel Tucker, if he suddenly feels like there's a ceiling at Michigan State, he may go somewhere. For Juwan Howard, I feel it's more like if he gets done what he came to get done, maybe he wants to do something else. So I think they're a little bit different situations.
Jay, with this one, considering that your trajectory, all coaches are on good or bad, and the chance that any of them may retire or leave for another job, should Izzo be more worried about Juwan or Harbaugh about Tucker?
I think Harbaugh about Tucker. Only because Juwan's been around for a little bit, and Izzo's still continue to recruit. He's established. He's got his thing. There will be some head-to-head recruiting. He may lose some guys there once in a while. He's gotten some guys that Michigan wanted. So I think Izzo is sort of, if you're Harbaugh, anytime Michigan State rises up in state, and there are more guys who you recruit, even though you recruit nationally, if he comes into Detroit and does well, if they start winning, I just think if I was, and I don't know how concerned he should be, I'm just saying more Izzo than Juwan, Harbaugh about Tucker would be my call.
Next one from Jay. After a bad first year, so far excellent second year, and what seems to be a promising future, would Tucker be looked at as public enemy number one by MSU fans if he did indeed bolt after this year? Because there would be a no guarantee that the next guy could keep the good vibes going.
Do you think he'd be enemy number one if he left?
I mean, absolutely. For a little while. I don't know. He's got some good things coming.
Yeah,
coming.
I don't know that he would be enemy number one. Because I think people would appreciate what he did quickly. He certainly would make it a pain in the ass for the next coach. You think about this, and maybe the next coach would keep the good vibes going. But you win a lot this year. You're going to lose a fair bit. But then you did something in the transfer portal that may or may not be possible to duplicate. Maybe it is. Maybe a lot more coaches will do this. Maybe he had a real knack for it, And certainly now the level of time fan bases give for a rebuild, it's kind of, it's like going to babysit, getting kids all hopped up on sugar, and then walking out and leaving the parents to deal with it. It's like what you do with your nephew every
Thursday.
Every Thursday,
4 hours.
Yeah,
love it. Next one from Jay Graham. You often speak about the days in your 20s, which you were at peak physical fitness level, much greater than anyone around you.
I don't know.
Do you have any tangible evidence that you can bring forth to prove such a statement?
Okay, so there's a lot of bad information here. One, I think peak physical fitness for me was like 30, 31, 32, in that range. I wouldn't say greater than anybody around me, just in my life, and was playing the best basketball of my life, certainly. And there are photos of me at that age where I look like a different human than I do now, where I have 6 fewer chins, and I don't look as gross.
Zion was a big deal because he was a huge guy, and I just broke my chair.
I think here's the best evidence. My wife married me, and she didn't marry this guy. She married the guy she met when I was 32, 33 years old. I don't think this fat fuck is married today.
Oh, man, she's so lucky. Chris from New York. Should I be rooting for MSU to win every remaining game so Mel Tucker sees he can win big here, or lose every game so LSU loses interest?
That's a great question. Like, the rails come off and LSU's like, wait a second. That's you want Michigan State to win, and you want to hope they keep them. You want to, you don't want to doubt, because the problem with the other side of that is you start to go, wait a second. Do you want Mel Tucker? No,
Mel Tucker's agent must be just salivating, though. Michigan State's going to have to give him a raise after this year. Chris from New York. Should I be worried that Tucker hasn't publicly rejected the LSU possibility?
I don't think so, because I don't know what you're supposed to say if it's a rumored report possible. You know what I mean? Like, it's not – it's a fair question. I just don't know at what point something's supposed to be something you have to react to. Every little report that some donors somewhere like you, like I don't know at what point you have to do that. And I don't know if it's yet. The story, picks up legs, but it's a good question, and maybe he should, and he'll certainly get asked about it next week.
Next one from Chris: is it possible for MSU to match any LSU salary?
No, and that's part of it. If this is strictly about money for Mel Tucker, I mean, MSU in the long term is screwed. I mean, LSU's paying $9 million right now for Ed Orgeron, and if it's $9 million, MSU is not going to pay its football coach $9 million. It's just not. It's not going to pay them more than double Izzo. It's not going to do that.
Last one from Chris: can you drive Tucker to Skyman to convince him to stay in East Lansing?
It would be sweet if Mel Tucker was at the tailgate next
that
before
would be
the game.
helpful. Yeah,
it would be amazing if we could promise Mel Tucker at the Skymint tailgate next Saturday morning, October 30th, 9:30 to 12:30. He'd be late to the game if he stayed the whole time. But Jason and I will be there, and we'll hang out. We'll have some giveaways. There's going to be an outstanding breakfast. I read the menu at the beginning of the show. Just looking forward to meeting with you and chatting, and we'll do some live fun stuff. And, it'll just be good. It'll be good. That's it on Coolidge Road in East Lansing, and starting about 9:30 in the morning on October 30th.
Patrick Russell: if MSU is such a tough place to build a program, why is it easier at Penn State? Last time I checked, State College is in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I don't get the appeal of State College all that much, or of Penn State. I mean, I like State College as a place to visit for a day or two. But in terms of football programs, Penn State has what LSU has in the sense that it's the program in the state, and there really isn't anything that comes close, whereas Michigan State's always got Michigan right there. And to some extent, vice versa. All the Michigans are more renowned program historically, but so I think it's viewed that way. I mean, Penn State historically is, I don't know if it's got some stuff maybe a little bit higher regard than Michigan State, but I think as a recruiting area, as a place that it's just you, and that traditionally that's the advantage. But to be honest, I don't know that it's a better job than MSU. I certainly would rather live in East Lansing than State College. I certainly think anything you can get done at Penn State, you can get done at MSU. So I don't know why it's considered such a better spot.
Next one from Patrick: does the transition of Cincinnati to the Big 12 suck any power away from Ohio State?
Not at all. Ohio State is that. I mean, it's great for Cincinnati, and it does potentially raise their ability to continue this. Like Cincinnati is in football, even though they were once in the Big East and they were in the power, the major six conferences, they've kind of done what Butler did in basketball, where you win yourself into a bigger league and it allows you to maintain at a certain level. I mean, this will be easier. This will be the legacy of Luke Fickell there. Luke Fickell, whatever they do this year, say he leaves, Luke Fickell got them into the Big 12. His legacy is set, and that'll be easier on future coaches to win if the Big 12 is still relevant.
Next one from Patrick: I keep hearing talk of Mark Stoops as a candidate for bigger jobs. If he leaves Kentucky, do you think Tucker takes another pass at Vince Morrow, or has he moved on?
I don't know. I don't think Michigan State's going to raise the overall salary pool for assistants all that much. I mean, that's the things that Michigan State I think will try to do for Tucker and convincing him to stay is more about facilities and recruiting tools and things that you need to lure the guys, to compete with those SEC schools, with the LSUs. When players get off the plane and do an SEC visit or an LSU visit, you want what happens at MSU not to feel like second class, and that's the thing Mel Tucker needs from MSU or wants from MSU.
Silly Lean: can we stop pretending Tucker will turn down the LSU job if offered? It's been reported in coaching circles LSU is a top job in all of football, not just college football. Geographically, LSU has advantages MSU will never be able to match. Coaches aren't scared of Bama. They're competitors.
Yeah, I have no idea what Mel Tucker will do. It does have some geographical disadvantages. It's hot as shit. Like I don't even know how you live for 3-4 months of the year. I just couldn't be down there. But most people aren't like me. But I do know Mel Tucker carries a sweat towel like I do, so maybe he looks at that area and says, "Fuck that noise." That would be I would need a lot of extra money to live in that area of the country. I don't know what he wants. And, I don't know if you do it at Michigan State. Now, D'Antonio took him to a very high level, but if you were to actually win a playoff game or win a national title, and I'm not saying Tucker will ever do it, you would do something that just hadn't been done. Whereas at LSU, it was just done 2 years ago, and then they fired that coach. So there are, and administratively, you may look at what they have and enjoy this at Michigan State. You may feel valued. You may feel like you can do it. I think what's most important to Mel Tucker is he feels like he can do it. That said, if somebody offers you, $3-4 million more than you were making, that's a tough deal to turn down.
PZ, Angelo Gross has been a good at safety this year, but how would the MSU defense look if he stayed at corner?
I think they've been okay at corner, and I also think the strength of their team being at safety with Gross and Snow and Xavier Henderson, obviously, has really helped this team. I mean, they're good at tackling in space. They've created. I mean, so I don't know that it would have been as advantageous as maybe you think.
Jay from North Coast Wealth Management. What is the dumbest, craziest thing, not sports related, that you and your friends have bet money on? Whether it was something nasty you had to eat or drink, a death-defying stunt, or some other demonstration of machismo. How much was at stake, and did you win it?
This seems like a good question for you, Jason.
I've told this before, but during a poker game, I was bet $50 that I wouldn't eat a candle, or I could not eat a candle.
Was it lit?
No.
Okay.
That was honestly, if it were lit, that was the least of the problems. It was one of those like mini cinnamon candles. And of course I was hammered, and I tried to do it, and I absolutely went into these people's backyard and just threw up.
It's a lot of wax, man.
Dude, I got it all down.
So you got it all down and
I got it all down and I got the money, but I would never ever do that again.
$50 is all you got for it.
Yeah.
So
$50.
So that's all it cost you, $50
at that time. Yeah, 2005 or whatever.
And so, how long did it stay down before it came back up?
Oh, dude, like 22 seconds. But I still held it down for 22 seconds. It's not supposed to be in your stomach.
Yes, no. Wear that. No, I've never done any. I can't. Not that I can think of like that. I mean, I had a weight loss contest that I won once that revolved in a rather large calorie meal. Was the reward paid for by the other guy, but I won because I only gained 1 pound and he gained 8 pounds. So there was that. I did do something really stupid during the election season. I bet on the this is non-sports related. I bet on the Republican senators to win one of them to win the Georgia runoff.
Jesus, man.
Because
1-800-GAMBLER.
No. I had this thing, and it was this offshore account, and I had some extra money in there. No, what I thought was I was hedging against what I figured would be $1,400 more in checks that were going to be sent to you if the Democrats won. So I figured it was like a hedge.
Wow.
But then when the checks actually showed up, it was like, well, shit, that's just money I kind of lost anyway. I mean, it was a dumb play. But in my head, I was like, this is the perfect hedge. And that was probably too recent to bring up.
I have one more. I went to Tuscaloosa to visit my cousin Nick, and I paid a guy $100 to drink my tobacco spit.
What?
Yeah, he drank my tobacco spit.
And you paid him $100?
I paid him $100.
Did you spit
because
it?
he was looking for money, and we're like, okay, well, I'll give you $100 if you drink this tobacco spit.
Who was the guy?
Just some random dude that was friends of the guys.
Did he open his mouth under you and you stood over him and let a loogie into him? Or
no, don't make it weird. No, it was just like he spit in a Mountain Dew bottle.
And he make it weird. Sharing tobacco.
He gets down on his knees and then you just spit in his mouth like creep. No, you spit into a bottle or a spittoon and then you tip it and he drank a little bit of it. I paid him $100 and he threw up. It was funny. That was back when that was the $42,000 car accident money at work.
So Mark and Jay can do a lot of things for you. I'm not sure if $50 for eating a candle or the guy who's taking tobacco spit for $100 are the best clientele. But if you've got a little more than that and you want to see your money grow and get your money working for you, give Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management a call, 248-626-2000. Email them at info@northcoastwm.com. Let them know Couch on the Roof sent you for a free consultation, and they can get your tobacco spit money working for you. That is also a story we're telling, presented by Midtown Brewing Company.
Gavin Haas, so what are your Hondo stories, guys? I mean, I didn't really go to the extreme that Cody did and stay with Hondo, but I did work with him at ABC 53. And he was kind of normal. He was just an out there kind of dude back then. You just were like, okay, there's Hondo.
Yeah.
He would fake a lot of phone calls. Like he would act like he was calling Peyton Manning or something.
Tons of that. I mean, and one of my earliest memories of him was the year that the Michigan State football job was open when they hired D'Antonio. And I'm at the Western Central game, and Brian Kelly is a serious candidate, and Bill Cubitt to a lesser degree, and certainly fell off after this game. And there's some guy, and I know Hondo a little bit at this point, but he's in the row behind me in the press box doing these radio call-ins as if I must have been going to a basement somewhere, saying he was at the Michigan State Bowl between Brian Kelly and Bill Cubitt, and he kept doing these updates. I'm like, who the fuck wants these updates? Like, I don't. That's there might be more to come. There's somebody else who asked a story about Hondo a little later on.
All right, Gavin, with this one, best college football game on this weekend. Well, if you have a girlfriend, Gavin, take her to a pumpkin patch this
It's
Saturday.
not a great weekend.
Terrible.
It's not good. I mean, to me, it's got to be gambling related. But at 15, I wouldn't urge you to go in that direction yet. I don't know if there's one that really excites me other than Purdue, Wisconsin. I'm sort of interested in from a gambling perspective and competitive perspective, and I'm interested in Ohio State, Indiana, just from what I think it means for the rest of the Big Ten based on how Ohio State does against that defense.
Next one from Gavin, horror movie suggestions.
I'm not a horror movie guy, so I have no suggestions here. I mean, The Ring still freaks me out. A Watcher in the Wood wasn't even a horror movie. A Watcher in the Woods, it was like a PG movie from like 1980. Still freaks me out. So, I don't know. You got anything?
No, I don't. I'm like you. I don't watch the horror movies.
Yeah.
I just laugh now. Back when I was younger, yeah, because I thought that shit was real. But now Jason, he's back again. Like I'm supposed to watch that movie? I mean, come on. Nate, do you think MSU's coaching staff used the first 7 weeks before the bye as an extended camp for the O-line and will now pick one unit with the meat of the schedule coming up? Also from Austin, should anyone ask the staff what benefits they see out of shifting the offensive lines? Please tell me it's a strategy to get reps, and it ends as we go into this tough part of the season. 2 games of evidence show we cannot run versus good teams. The offensive line needs to work and is the best 5 on the field versus Michigan. Holy crap.
Sorry, I should have added that a little more.
Words.
A lot of words. No, to Nate's question and Austin's question about, I think this is a concern for a lot of people as they've not been able to run the ball. Why are you still rotating guys in? And the only answer I have is they don't feel like any 5 is better than any others, and they feel like being fresh helps them. I do think Horst and Duplain on the left side, though, make a difference. Although there have been some moments this year going back through games where I thought Luke Campbell's been really good places. But this is what they believe in. But it is an absolutely fair question, another one that should be asked of the staff.
Austin Schold up next. Maybe I'm nervous Nelly, but I'm having a hard time envisioning a game different than Nebraska and Indiana games when we go against Michigan. Do you have any sense that the Spartans have been holding back the playbook until the second half of the season?
I mean, I'm sure there are things that they're looking forward to using. Like this is a game where if you've got some things in your back pocket, trickeration wise, or things you haven't shown, you do. I don't know if there's things they've held off because they've needed everything to win some of these games. You're not holding off against Nebraska and Indiana when you're desperate to find offense. You're not holding off in a tight game at Miami. But that said, there are probably a few wrinkles that you always have more, right? And the same thing might happen, by the time you get to Ohio State, you try to come up with more wrinkles to give you a shot in that one.
Next one from Austin. I'm pretty new to sports betting. What do you look for when making a parlay? Best beginner advice in general. What are some of your rules to keep when betting? I'm getting better, but how do I not suck so bad?
Well, 2009 Graham and 2009 Jason are probably not the best examples for you. Don't run your own book.
Yeah.
Don't bet massive money lines all the time. To me, and the parlay, I tried not to screw up what a really great bet I love. In other words, a parlay, if there's a game I love, I may put it in a parlay, but I also want to bet it individually. It's got to be 3 games I really like, and
don't go more than 3 or 4 legs.
Yeah, unless
you'll see those 9-10 leg ones win on Twitter, but don't fall for it.
Yeah, and the best thing is to be disciplined. Trust your gut a little bit. Don't overthink it.
Just have fun. Right?
Yep, and don't and keep it within money you've got to spend, so it doesn't become. Jason can tell
helps.
Jason can tell you about betting your last $100, and while that's
$100 you don't have,
$100, while that's a thrill, it can also lead to all sorts of other sorts of stress.
David Jackson, is it just me, or have MSU's corners been playing a bit more tight on wideouts recently and giving up fewer short to intermediate passes?
I think that's by design, yeah, but it's not like they weren't doing that on purpose, and they do it when they don't feel there's a passing threat. When you have a backup quarterback at Indiana or a quarterback at Rutgers who you don't think can hurt you, or receivers you don't think can hurt you in certain ways, but you play a different style. I think they did it because they thought the best way to win and the best way was to keep people in front of them against Miami. And certain offenses, they think that's the best way to win, and they've done it pretty well. So I think it's all situational.
Next one from David. Both MSU's and Michigan's athletic websites have the 2022 football game being played in East Lansing. That's not possible, is it? Michigan made a stink to get us to play 2 in a row for 2019 and 2020 in Ann Arbor, so that they'd always get one rival at home. Now that's being undone. What's up?
Yeah, I don't know if those are correct schedules or not. Everything had to be redone post-pandemic. I'd have to look at it. It is possible that that's the redone version. I just don't know that it is. Maybe it is. Somebody can write in and I can certainly ask about it at some point.
David, with this one, do you respect James Edwards' ability to predict football games? And if so, should I take a loan and bet all of my assets on MSU to win on the money line?
He did say that he thought Michigan State was going to run away with him, right? Blow him out or something.
Is that what he said?
Something along those lines. I trust James' instincts on the Pistons, and I think he's certainly somebody who's knowledgeable about Michigan State football.
But he's a Michigan State grad.
He's a big Michigan State fan,
and he covers basketball.
Yeah, so I would
half the year.
I would not take out a loan. I think I'm not saying you shouldn't have some fun with some action on the game. If that adds to the intrigue, just makes it even more on the line for you. But I would not take out a loan.
Next one from David. Are you buying what Izzo is saying about Hoggard? A.J. Hoggard.
And what Tom Izzo is saying is that he's pushing the ball as well as anybody since like Cleves. Now, Izzo is sometimes a victim of hyperbole, and I would be surprised if that's truly the case, because some of the guys he's had. I mean, the Joey Hauser lines a couple of years ago, and some of the guys he's built up over time, and sometimes he's been dead on, and some. I do think that Hoggard, from everybody I talked to, pushes the ball better than Tyson Walker. Walker even said yesterday, I talked to him, or not yesterday, when there were Big Ten basketball or Michigan State basketball media day, was that his previous schools, mostly he's walked it up, and that's just been what they did. And he's really comfortable in the half court, but he's not often somebody who remembers, I get the ball, go. And so I think there is a sort of a disparity there or difference that's noticed. But maybe Hoggard is, and I've heard that from a number of people. I've heard that Izzo repeatedly. He is in a lot better shape, and so if that's, obviously we'll all have to see it to believe it if he's doing it at that level. It will be an interesting, how you use those guys will become interesting if that's the case. Because to me, in the half court, what Tyson Walker is a little above A.J. Hoggard. And if they want to run, though, and Hoggard's better there, how do you make that work for you? I think it's easier, though, to become a good transition point guard than it is to all of a sudden have all the great feels in the half court that maybe Walker does.
Last one from David Jackson. Can LSU actually not name a new head coach until December? Wouldn't that be unusual?
Yeah, they absolutely could wait. Because if you want Mel Tucker or you want, one of the coordinators at Clemson, or you want somebody sitting head coach, you may not be able to do it in season. And although a coordinator, you could not. I wouldn't think you could either, or at least in the regular season. So that's part of the reason I think that they kept Orgeron. The other thing is you have to have a little decency when you won a national title 2 years ago. Not much. You can still fire the guy 2 years later, but there's got to be a certain level of decency as well.
Professor, which catchphrase is more powerful in the Lansing media market? Tuck coming or appreciate you?
I feel like
it's got to be Tuck coming.
Yeah, appreciate you is more widely used because it's used by a lot of people. I actually did not come up with it, but Tuck coming is. Although it was interesting to watch Tucker now embrace that when he didn't really know what it was. He's like, "Yeah, I mean, I'll be there." When he was first asked about it, I plan to be at the game. Yeah.
Alex James, has Pat Narduzzi finally got something going at Pitt? Are they good?
They've got a chance. Yeah, right now they look like a team that might win that side of the division. They didn't look very good early, so I don't know. And I sort of with Narduzzi, he's had a couple teams like this that look like they're in the top of that division, and the difference is Clemson's nowhere in the other division, so it gives you a chance. My sense with Narduzzi and Pitt is that there's a ceiling. They're going to be a good competitive program, but I don't know that it's ever going to rise to a certain level. And part of that, I think you do have some limitations at Pitt. Pro sports market, you don't have your own facility. I just think it's a harder place to win. I still think he would be a really, like, I'll give you an example. If Tucker left, I think it would be very interesting to see if Narduzzi was at all something that they considered and whether that would make sense. Or is there too much shine off Narduzzi now that he's been at Pitt and he hasn't won big? I don't know that.
Alex James, can you please explain why Wisconsin is favored over Purdue?
Analytics, the numbers seem to like Wisconsin, and their defense is really good. And brand. And so brand creates
Do the numbers show Paul Christ?
It's bizarre because you'd think bettors at this point would be on to Wisconsin football this year. I mean, especially. It's it's
Vegas, baby.
Yeah.
Kevin from Rochester Hills, will MSU get better after the bye week, and how will LSU talk derailed recruiting?
Let's take a quick break, and let's get into this after the break. Couch in the Roof, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management.
Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Skymint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Skymint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Skymint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Skymint Cannabis, you'll love this place. Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com. If you're looking for a relaxed vibe, great food, and an outstanding beer selection, Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing is your place. Enjoy their famed chicken and waffle fries, fish and chips, or any of their delicious burgers or salads. Midtown Brewing Company also offers 40-plus beers on tap, including ciders and seasonal offerings and daily happy hour specials. The spacious and cozy vibe makes Midtown Brewing Company a perfect place for a beer with a friend, a work lunch, or to watch the games on its big screen TVs. If you'd rather eat at home, Midtown Brewing Company offers a terrific carryout menu and free delivery on orders of $20 or more. Visit MidtownBrewingCompany.net or stop by 402 South Washington in downtown Lansing for the Midtown Brewing Company experience. Trust matters, especially when it's your money. Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management work hard to build a relationship of trust by providing thoughtful, objective guidance and placing your interests first. Invest with knowledgeable financial advisors who are on your side. Call today and tell them you're a friend of the show for a no-cost, no-obligation consultation. 248-626-2000 and ask for Mark or Jay. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
Freddie Freeman's two-run homer gave the Braves a first-inning lead in Game 5 of the National League Championship Series. After that, though, it was all Dodgers, and L.A. stayed alive with an 11-2 victory. The night belonged to Chris Taylor, who belted 3 home runs and drove in 6.
It's definitely a surreal feeling for me. I never thought I was going to hit 3 homers in a game, let alone a postseason game. It just still hasn't really sunk in.
A.J. Pollock also hit 2 homers. He had 4 RBIs. The series now heads back to Atlanta with the Braves leading 3-2. Game 6 set for Saturday afternoon. The Astros leading 3-2 are home for the Red Sox tonight in Game 6 of the ALCS. The Browns beat the Broncos in the NFL Thursday night game 17-14. And Congress is getting involved into the NFL's investigation into the workplace culture of the Washington football team. 2 House Democrats sending a letter to Commissioner Roger Goodell asking for the findings by the league. That's sports. Frank Garrity, NBC News Radio.
Find Couch in the Room podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
Couch in the Roof, presented by Skyman Premium Cannabis. Jason and I will be at the East Lansing location on October 30th, starting at 9:30, live show. Hang out, have breakfast, relax. We'll have some giveaways. It'll be a fun meet and greet, and that's on Coolidge Road in East Lansing. Also, our Friday show presented by Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management. And if you've got some money that you want to get working for you in the market, Mark and Jay can help you do that. And, ideally, it's not money that you needed to have somebody spit in your mouth. To get, that's 248-626-2000 is the number for Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management, northcoastwm.com for more information. You can also email them, info@northcoastwm.com. Let them know that Couch on the Roof sent you a free consultation. See if they're a good fit for you. Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management. All right, back to the Groovy Donut Twitter questions. And we left off with Kevin from Rochester Hills saying, well, MSU get better during the bye, and how will LSU talk derail recruiting? I do think that he'll have to answer that question on the recruiting trails we talked about. Like, if you're a recruit right now, and you're going to see that. But I also think winning will help recruiting, and as long as he's got a decent answer for it. The other thing is the kids they're looking at right now are most likely the kids they're recruiting. There might be a few, some 2022 kids. But there are also 2023 kids that they're, and so those kids are going to have time to see what happens. They don't have to make a decision right now. And same for the 2022 kids. You don't commit or you don't sign until the end of December. So if Mel Tucker were to leave, that would happen earlier than that, right? So
But if you're Mel Tucker, how do you tell a recruit when they ask? Because if I were a recruit, that would be my first question.
Yeah, and are you honest with them? Yeah, and
because you have to. Then you start lying to kids, and they take it the wrong way.
I don't think you can lie to a kid. You can say my intent is to be at Michigan State, and like with any opportunity, if something amazing came up and I had to look at it, I would. But I think we're going to build a championship here. This is where I want to be. You can say it without lying, and you can.
Do you like Louisiana? Because if I go, you're coming with me.
That's right.
And what else?
I'm recruiting you. No, I don't really care what school I'm at. Yeah. So, does MSU get better after the bye? They should. Every school should get. If you don't get better after your bye week, you're not doing the bye week right. So you would think Michigan State will be. I mean, it's a huge advantage to have a bye week going into the Michigan game. And Michigan's not at a huge disadvantage because they had a bye last week and Northwestern this week. It's not like they had, a bye and then 3 really difficult games before playing Michigan State.
Next one from Kevin. Shell or no shell on pistachios?
Anything that gets in the way of me consuming the food I don't like. No shells. Are you a shell guy?
Crab legs.
Yeah,
I don't eat pistachios. So
I just want the crab. I don't want the leg. It's
kind of the fun part of it.
Yeah, it's too much work. Too much work. Like if Groovy Donuts put shells around their donuts, I would still.
You would too.
I would get in there. I would still eat the donut. But I'm just saying it would be freaking annoying as hell. And also, speaking of Groovy Donuts, you can gear up for the Michigan State game with Groovy Donuts for your tailgate or watch party. And they'll design donuts that satisfy the fan on either side of the rivalry. Okay, or you can have a box that has both, or just either side of the team, the Spartan S or an M, and you can order those at groovydonuts.com and get your orders in and pick them up next week. And you can do a mix of Halloween donuts with big game donuts. It can be a hell of a next weekend's a great weekend to have Groovy Donuts. Every weekend's really a great weekend to have Groovy Donuts. 2 locations, East Lansing on Lake Lansing Road, and also in Williamston.
Dark Mantonio, Ohio State will probably always be there, and considering the questions surrounding some in the SEC West, Auburn with a new coach, LSU a new coach, Saban's age, etc., will Michigan, MSU, and Penn State hold up their end and make the Big Ten East the best division in college football for at least the next few years?
It's a good question. I mean, as long as Bama's there, it's just that's such a massive program in one division. But I do think LSU's fall off is interesting. When you had LSU and Bama, in the same division, I think that sort of gave it to them. Yeah, it's a great question. If MSU and Michigan and Penn State are what they are right now, and I'm not talking about 7-0, but good competitive football teams, and they continue to elevate, I don't think Ohio State's going anywhere. I think the Big Ten East is absolutely the best division of football, and I think the other reason for it is why Maryland, I don't know if they ever truly get off the mat. We talked about this with Schiano and Rutgers. They're at least going to be solid. They're going to be a team that beats somebody they shouldn't every year. They're going to be a bowl-level team, and they're going to be a pain in the ass. And Indiana, we just saw the level of talent at Indiana on defense. Like, who remembers Indiana football's defense being able to do that? So I think the entire East has a chance to be the best division for some time.
Dark Mantonio, if MSU loses to Michigan, can the Tucker to LSU rumors be used as an excuse?
They should not be. You got to be more mentally tough than that. I mean, the whole idea is keep chopping, next possession, all that stuff. And if all of a sudden outside stuff that you've said doesn't get in your program gets into your program, you can't use it as an excuse. Whether it shouldn't. The Michigan game should help you focus because this is a legacy game. Like, if you're a Michigan State player, these are the games that you talk about 30 years from now. These are the games, if you've been there for a while, alumni you've heard from. Like, nothing else. This should be an easy game to focus on. In some ways, better this than having the Purdue game be next.
Tyler, top 10 team most likely to lose.
Oh, shit. Let me give the hold on. All right, so
thanks for your patience. We won't be long now.
It ain't Cincinnati at Navy. It's not Penn State with Illinois. It's not Michigan, Oklahoma, Kansas. Gosh. Top 10 team most likely to lose. There aren't that many top 10 teams playing, so it's right. It's Michigan, Oklahoma, Penn State, and Cincy are the only ones playing this week. That can't be right. Oh, this is in time order. Never mind. What the fuck? Oklahoma State at Iowa State has to be it, right? Oklahoma State's 8 at Iowa State. Oregon 10 at UCLA. Those two seem ripe to possibly be beaten. So I would say it's one of those two.
Cockburn.
Tyler, most likely to cover Pitt, Iowa State, or Wisconsin.
So hold on. Okay. Sorry, I apologize. Tyler's questions here I should have been more ready for.
Don't coach my team.
Okay. So Pitt is Pitt Clemson, right? Pitt's a 3.5-point favorite at Clemson. Clemson's offense is absolutely bad. Who are the others in the question? I apologize. Give me the other questions. Who are the others?
Iowa State or Wisconsin?
Iowa State's a 7-point favorite. Don't love that. Don't love Wisconsin. I don't love any of these teams really to cover. I would say Pitt, though, because I think that Pitt team is legitimately – it's hard to get over the fact they've struggled the way they have, but I think that Pitt offense is legitimately bad.
I'm just fading Saturday completely. Tyler, if you guys individually had to spend a week in any one city in the world with one carry-on backpack, where would you go and why?
Where would yours be?
I have no idea. Like, I have to keep there's no vehicles or anything. I have to walk around. No Uber.
So what's important here is it can't be too cold that you're like you have to keep a giant coat with you everywhere you go and all this stuff.
Yeah.
It can't be too hot that you're sweating and you feel like you need to shower. So if all you've got is a carry-on backpack, it needs to be weather neutral. The neutral thinking is Mel Tucker would say that 55, 60. So somewhere like In England, I would go. I might go to
Amsterdam,
St. Andrews, Edinburgh. Amsterdam's not bad. Somewhere in Iceland, Reykjavik, Iceland.
We get it.
Yeah,
you're cultured. Ken Chu, since when are there mid-season All-Americans?
It's stupid because first of all, you're not actually an All-American if you're on the mid-season All-American team and you're not also on the postseason All-American team, and then it sets an expectation that what the fuck happened to you? You're a mid-season All-American. Why aren't you a postseason? I think mid-season All-Americans are dumb.
I didn't know they did that. The Danimal, is it supposed to be 3 Twitter questions, or does everyone just get it confused with 3 hot takes?
You're on to something, Danimal. It's very clear. You can just do 1 Twitter question, and many people do. You can do 7 Twitter questions, and some people do. Now, I'll tell you this. You get over a certain number, and it definitely will either cut some or put you later into the show. So that's sort of...
Can I see what you cut out of these?
This week?
Yeah.
There weren't. I cut a few. Hans usually has a few that don't make it.
Oh, sure.
I mean, that's just hard.
That's why we love
hard
Hans.
not to.
The Danimal. Does Mel Tucker, like East Lansing and MSU, have enough to stay around for a while and really build this thing up? Seems like he does, but I'm sure Colorado felt the same way.
I mean, MSU's a better gig than Colorado in certain ways. I mean, Colorado's
by far.
Boulder's an amazing place to live. I wouldn't give East Lansing the nod there, but it's just in terms of football program and intensity of fan base and that sort of stuff. There are pecking orders, and Michigan State's ahead of Colorado, and LSU's frankly ahead of Michigan State. So, at what point does that pecking order stuff matter to you? I think you can do everything you want to do in college football in East Lansing. I think Clemson is a great example of being able to build into something. But it is easier to do certain places, and it's been done certain places. And so that's what Mel Tucker's going to have to think through as he views his career. Not just this. I mean, the LSU job may not even be offered to him. I don't know that it will be. But if he keeps winning, there will be attractive offers out there and people coming at him, and he'll ultimately have to make that decision.
Now, wait a minute. This is the third one from Danimal. Didn't he just say 2 questions ago?
He's making fun of the whole thing. Yeah.
Gotcha. Would you rather eat 100 groovy donuts or 1 groovy donut the size of 100 combined groovy donuts?
I'd rather eat 100 groovy donuts because I like the flavor different. I like the difference in flavors.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, if it's one of those filled donuts and it's just one giant filled donut.
Yeah, it would. Yeah,
you have to eat pudding.
Right.
I mean, which I enjoy, but man.
Yeah. No, and they do. There are too many donuts that I love from Groovy Donuts. Like one of my favorite things to do with Groovy Donuts is I become a health nut. Is get my wife and I will do this. We'll get a dozen Groovy Donuts and we'll have 1 bite out of each. And then she thinks I throw it away.
And then you wait till she leaves the room and you eat the rest?
That's what happens. She thinks I throw it away. Yeah, but I don't. We can't do that.
Go into the garbage canister, dear. I'll be back. Max Spade, hot take. George Blaha is not good at football. What? George Blaha is not. That's not right. George Blaha is not good at football. Play-by-play. He is so far behind the play that several times a game you can hear the stadium announcer give the result of the play before Blaha describes it.
Well, they need to pipe down on the stadium announcer.
Yeah,
this is radio. You're supposed to be in your own time a little bit. You're supposed to have time to describe it. This is
in his late 70s. He's a legend.
It is a hot take, Max. I'll give you that.
It's a right take. It's fine.
Yep, it's
Blaha's
okay.
Still a legend though.
Yep.
Max Spade. Which would be more satisfying for Michigan State fans, an appearance and loss in the college football playoff championship game or Tom Izzo's second national championship?
That's actually a really good question. I think it's the national championship because the national championship's a national championship, and Izzo getting 2 is what this whole march has been for 20 years, trying to get a second one. So I think, but that said, not to Graham Stout this, if like the way the playoff went the first time for Michigan State, right? It was they didn't belong here, and boom, they get hammered. The validation that would come from winning a playoff game to get to that national championship game would be, I think, for MSU would be satisfying as long as they didn't lose the national championship game. There's a trick to losing the national championship game and still having it being satisfying. You have to play like Bama or a team like that. If you play Alabama and it's competitive but not heartbreaking, you don't want to get boat raced and you don't want to lose on a Hail Mary. But if you lose like 33-20 in a game that you're just not quite good enough, but it's competitive, so there's no question that you weren't the better team and you won a playoff game, that would be pretty damn satisfying, I think, for people. I still think it's Izzo's second national championship. You agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Max Spade, which is more satisfying, watching your team win or watching your rival lose?
Depends on your team and the rival, and I mean, it should be your team, right? That's the healthier way to be.
Yeah, but if your team sucks, like being a Lions fan, it's great to watch the Packers lose. But I'm dead inside, so that doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Max Spade, which is more satisfying, feeling stuffed after a great meal or feeling refreshed after a great number 2?
Oh, it's the number 2 for sure, right? Because you always have regret after feeling stuffed after a great meal. You're like, I went a little too far. Should have stopped.
I don't know. Some of those number 2s, man, when your legs fall asleep and you get up and like you start wobbling around, it's not a great I mean,
but he's saying a great number 2. There are others where you walk out and you're like, I feel like I could run a marathon.
All right. Andrew Gauthier. Does the fact that George Takei and William Shatner still have a bitter rivalry make you laugh or make you shake your head? Give it up before you die, guys. Come on.
I don't think about it very often. Sorry.
I think about it every once in a while.
Do you?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of fun. It's like a grumpier old men kind of thing, right? Yeah. Next one from Andrew. What are the deciding factors in an MSU-Michigan game?
I think it's frankly which team can do what they want to do better. In other words, we know what Michigan wants to do. Can Michigan run the football? And if they're able to run the football the way they've been doing it, and if Michigan State can't move the ball through the air and isn't explosive offensively, to me, it's each team being able to be who they are. That's the biggest deciding factor.
Next one from the GOAT. At what age does planning for the holidays become stressful? I love my family, but damn, scheduling this stuff is like a puzzle that's bound to piss someone off.
So let me know if you think this is right, Jason.
Okay.
To me, it is that time in your life where the world sort of is – you're the epicenter of things in terms of planning, in terms of where things may go. Your life is busier than other people. But the generation older than you wants to be part of it, and this is much more important to them than it is you. And you had kids in the mix and logistically, but I think that's when it gets stressful. Like I'll give you an example. Like for us right now, trying to figure out whether I'm going to go to the Bahamas for this Michigan State basketball tournament and try to get back for the Penn State game. I know it sounds like a good problem to have. I'm not complaining about that part, but that affects Thanksgiving for like 14 other people, and that becomes stressful. So
for 14 people,
it's in-laws, it's my sister, it's maybe one aunt and uncle who might make the trip. You know what I mean?
So you're saying that's going to affect them, that you're not there?
Well, we wouldn't host Thanksgiving. It might not even be in our city, right? So it all of a sudden changes everything, and two families won't even get together probably. You know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. That's when it gets stressful. So it's that
Sounds
period.
Great, to be honest.
It's outstanding.
Next one from Andrew. While having warmer weather this fall has been nice, it's making me nervous about having a terrible winter. Can you guys get the inside scoop from Chris Eastlick to ease my concerns this year?
Maybe we have Eastlick on a Wednesday or something sometime in
July.
See what's going.
What are you talking about? We're gonna talk to Eastlick about for 10 minutes, huh?
Well, I think you and Eastlick could debate on the weather, and the alerts would be fantastic.
I'm pretty sure Eastlick is on my side. He just doesn't want to say anything or help me out to get this thing rectified, where we have the screen taken up, the sporting event with goddamn dial-up sounds.
Eastlick's a communicator for a living. I think Eastlick would be really good.
Yeah, I know. Just busting balls. Andrew, can we put a moratorium on football writers bitching about night games? There's like 6 weeks a year you have to work late. Trust me, a guy who worked midnights 6 days a week for 6 years, we don't want to hear you guys whining. And I'll bet our third shift friends don't either.
Yeah, it's not a great look. It's not.
You guys whining, period.
Yeah.
Irks a lot of people.
And by the way, that's the way Groovy Donuts got to have such good donuts, is Andrew and Monica.
Don't kiss their ass now. Still complaining
I'm
about
not,
night games.
So I'm not somebody who complains a ton about night games. Solari does more than me. It does. I mean, it affects the whole weekend. I'm up throughout the whole night and can't play basketball the next day and all that stuff. But I get that life is relatively charmed if that's your issue. Here's my issue with night games. Not even me related. I like it when night games are special. Like, to me, 1 or 2 night games a year, one really where it's like, holy crap, a night game. Like, that used to be a big deal in college football. This is a night game. And now they're just too many. Sometimes BTN even has a freaking night game most weeks. Like, that's not – if Maryland's the night game, that's not cool. Like, so to me, I just want night games to be special. I don't mind working them when they feel special. It's when it's Western Kentucky, you're like, really? We're starting this at 7:30 p.m.? Okay. Yeah, that's the ones I don't get.
Next one from Andrew. Can we add a new wrinkle to the show? Every time Graham laughs at Jason about a word pronunciation or definition, he must immediately give his own definition and pronunciation. We'll see how smart Graham really is now.
Yeah, that's not going to happen because I'm not smart, and the part of the whole deal is that I get to enjoy
and look down on people.
Yeah, yeah,
Fun.
Yeah.
Irk. Up next. Why are sports writers so capricious? Capricious.
I love the order of those two.
Capricious.
You know what that means?
You love the order of the two that you put together. You're laughing at your own bit.
Yeah.
Wow, that's sad.
I
love the order of these. He says
it's kind of like
puts them in order.
Temperamental is the question. Because we're
capricious.
Because we're jacked.
Capricious.
Let's see what the dictionary says. Fickle. Oh, that's it. It's
Thanks for your patience.
given a sudden, unaccountable changes of mood and behavior.
All right.
Yeah, well,
I trust you.
That's fair.
Irk, is there some sort of prize when people discover spelling or grammar errors in your articles?
There is not.
Man.
Unless you want to be my editor for like a week. Yeah. Well, a couple things. One, with the 3 quick takes, those are done, and they are back read, but I post those before they're actually edited, and they're written very quickly, so that's going to happen sometimes, and we try to correct all those before they get in the print if there are things. And I try to be clean, but no, there is no prize. I'm sorry.
Irk, are you ready for that Yoda Aussie Jason debate yet? Oh boy.
Debate? I am.
Oh, mate. Oh, man, you have green ears, mate. Oh, yeah. Oh, the pointy and stuff, yeah. You say stuff kind of backwards, yeah.
Backwards, I do.
Oh, no. Fucking, what's this show come to? Irk, what food are you craving right now? Graham, we only have an hour left.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, right now, a red velvet donut from Groovy Donuts would be fantastic.
That does sound really good.
I would love to actually I could use a beer from Midtown Brewing Company as much as anything, but a chorizo burger at Midtown Brewing Company would be fantastic. It's part of their chorizo. God, I always get that wrong, but it's a fantastic burger and
Tough
part
one.
of and their breakfast nachos. Another good reason to start your weekend at Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue. Enjoy brunch and enjoy their outdoor patio. And days like this are just perfect for it, and they're only going to have it through the end of October.
Mojo Jojo, did we ever figure out why Apple is running ads on the pod? Y'all seeing that GoPuff money?
I think it's only at the beginning now, right? I think we took away the mid
I don't
stuff.
listen to the show.
Yeah.
No idea.
Well, yeah, you got to tell us. We don't go back.
I don't listen to myself. I can't.
So I think we got rid of the stuff that was in the middle. There's something at the beginning, but we didn't.
It helps us get paid. Put it that way, right? Yeah. Mojo Jojo. With no decent games on, what do I do with my Saturday? Exercise?
You could. A little walk, a little basketball, a little pickup. It is. I mean, you really do have to put some money on this. There's some decent Premier League games you could maybe look at. I need Chelsea to win at Norwich at 7 a.m. tomorrow is the end of a big money line parlay.
Cockburn.
So you can get up at 7:30 and watch that.
What a sport.
Yeah. No, it's not a great week.
All right, Mojo Jojo, what's your worst travel story?
Do you have one?
Senior year of high school, we went to Cancun, and it was one of those. A guy would come in and do a presentation to the students because we wanted to go on a senior trip, even though I was barely a senior. But so we got there. We arrived at the airport, and there was a lady coming through collecting $20 from each person for gas. Which, 17 years old, you're like, okay. It's like she said, if you don't pay the $20, you don't go. So everybody's busting out 20s. And then when we arrived back from Cancun, they went out of business.
That airline did.
Yeah. I don't even know. It was like they just put one of those magnetic signs on the plane.
Did you feel safe when you hit turbulence?
Dude, I'm 17. I didn't give a shit.
Yeah,
we were partying on the way there. I don't know how we landed. It was pandemonium on the way there. So And as soon as the wheels touched, they went out of business.
That doesn't sound awful, though. Worst travel stories.
That's the worst one I got.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of...
I mean, I had to take a shit on the plane, and we can get graphic.
Yeah, I don't know.
Drinking the water.
I don't have a lot of awful ones. I've had a couple, plain bathroom experiences. I've been on vacations with, women that I realized on that vacation that this relationship needed to probably end, Or that's the best way sometimes to know if something's for real. Travel with somebody. You'll find out real quick. If certain things annoy them that are part of who you are, or vice versa, or annoy you about them.
Had one of those, yeah.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
It's kind of a cold flight home.
It can
sometimes.
Be. It can be. That from Jason is a story we're telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company.
All right, Brett. Where does Jacob Panachuk get drafted? Similar stats as Hutchinson. Why isn't he being talked about more?
I think he's getting some love. I mean, and the thing is, Hutchinson has fewer opportunity. I saw a stat somewhere on just in terms of number of, maybe he's not played as many plays or whatever. I think Panachuk is getting some love. He is, and he's going to get more and more. And I do think he's played himself into a guy who's going to get an NFL look because he's persistent. And I don't think he's ever going to be a dynamic rusher, but he's a big dude who is a bit of he's NFL size mauler, and I think there'll be a role for him at the next level.
Forgot this story. We spent 8 days in Vegas. My card got stolen. I was absolutely broke, and we had a flight home on Spirit Airlines for 4 hours.
That does sound miserable.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Brett, Lions win a Super Bowl over under 20 years.
Oh, boy. So basically we're talking about Jason's lifetime.
So I would be 62. Fuck. Unbelievable. I'm not taking the under. I never take the under, but... And it was nice. It was really nice to see Chris Spielman inducted into the football ring of whatever the fuck the Lions do. It was really cute. I mean, you're telling me Spielman, when I saw the video, Spielman isn't in the MF and Ring of Honor yet? Jason Hansen, Chris Spielman, Barry Sanders, who else? Scott Mitchell, who do we need? Shit franchise.
Give me under 20 years for
fucking franchise. Oh, it's so cute. Oh, my God, it's the greatest. I love Spielman, but I hate the organization. Brett, will Jason be watching Stafford bend over his former teams, over his team Sunday? I hate to say it, but I'm a Rams fan Sunday. Absolutely. Records. What's the passing touchdown?
So you're rooting for the Rams. Are you betting on the Rams?
I'm going to have a parlay with the Rams in it.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yep. It's a good, to me, it's a good teaser, although the line is growing. We also have to figure out when we'll announce what we're going to do showtime on Sunday. We got a couple things. One, there's no game Saturday, and the Lions play at 4, so we don't want to start. We've been starting at 6:30 Sundays. The Stafford Lions game's at 4. We want to allow those to be part of the hot takes. So we'll figure out, and we'll announce it on
1 a.m.
Yeah.
Live Couch in the Rube, 1 a.m. show.
Maybe it makes more sense to go back to a Monday for a day. We'll figure all that out. Sunday's also my wife's birthday, so I should probably be around as much as possible for that.
She might want you.
Yeah, that's true. She might be like, wait a sec. The show's not starting on time? What are you doing?
Go do your show. It's 4 hours, right? Call me Al. More concerned with facts when reporting. Rob Parker, Hondo, or Mitch Album?
So this is a tie between Rob Parker and Hondo, and that should be a real problem for Rob Parker. The fact that it's Rob and Hondo tie.
Wow. Next one from Call Me Al. Graham, what story did you chase down because of Hondo?
So this was 2006. It was right after Hondo did the thing in the booth at the Central Michigan game where he was calling it the Michigan State Bowl to replace John L. Smith, and I was in Philadelphia covering a Western Michigan Temple basketball game that night, and my buddy Wes Morgan calls, who was filling in for me on Western Michigan was playing in the International Bowl, and there was this December 5th press conference official thing in Kalamazoo, whatever. And so somebody was there. We didn't know it was Hondo at the time. I didn't know it was Hondo, who asked the head coach at Western Michigan and said, hey, I have on good accord from the Stanford AD that you're going to be the next head coach at Stanford to Bill Cubit. And Wes, who's only partly covered the team, was like, what? Shit. So I get a call from Wes after this press conference, and he's like, some Grand Rapids TV guy had a little bit of a spat with Bill Cubit and said that he was getting the Stanford job and that he'd heard it from the Stanford coach. I'm like, oh, shit. Well, who's – and so, okay. So then I don't think it's happening because Bill Cubit didn't fire part of a staff that got fired from Stanford. I didn't think it was what was It was when Harbaugh got that job, actually. So anyway, I spent most of the afternoon on the phone with the San Jose Mercury News Stanford beat writer, and we were sort of debunking this whole thing. And then I wrote this 20-inch blog back when I had like this separate little blog thing on why this wasn't happening. And then I call Wes. We post it. It's up. I call Wes. This is before Twitter. And I'm like, so describe this Grand Rapids TV person to me. He describes Hondo. And so I immediately I took down the blog because it was, Hondo fucking made the whole damn thing up. I knew that. And so we didn't want to give it credibility. And he owes me an afternoon in Philadelphia to this day. Like, I lost an afternoon hanging out in Philadelphia.
And you wrote a blog.
And I wrote a 20-inch blog.
Nice. Clint Bainey. If MSU could flip 2 football recruits off of Michigan's 2022 recruiting class, who would they be?
I don't know who's in their class, and I forgot to look this up.
So we don't know.
But I would say this, to me, who's their best D tackle? That's all. Even though even though Michigan State's really good at that position right now, D tackle, receiver. Those are the places you want to take from an opposing team. I think if you're Michigan State, writing right up into my rectum, and it was painful.
Not Ben. Not sure if this is a taboo subject, but the Michigan game, with the Michigan game coming, what the hell is going on with Ricky White?
I think by the time you listen to this podcast, if you're not listening live, you might know. So let me just say that. I'll
tease.
Yeah, and if you don't, we'll readdress it on Monday. But I think you will.
Ben Stamp, best mixed drink suggestions using pumpkin patch apple cider.
What do you put with that? What do you think?
Oh shit! I used to put anything with anything. So I don't know what goes good with apple cider. Probably Captain Morgan, right?
How many
Southern
times?
Comfort.
Yeah, you spit it in somebody else's mouth.
You're a weirdo, man. Never did that. Out of my he drank out of my bottle.
I'm the weirdo. You've got the homeless guy that you're giving.
He wasn't homeless. He had a home. He was like payday was a couple days away. I didn't make a homeless guy do that. I wouldn't do that. It was just some dude. He's like a frat bro, and I was like, all right, drink the spit out of this bottle.
Yeah, I don't.
It makes it sound weird. I spit it in his like a mama bird situation. What the fuck's wrong with you? Yeah, Ben Stamp. Need to see some good shit talk next week. Best MSU Smack Talk Twitter handle to follow.
That's a good question. Would it be Rico Beard? No, probably not. There's got to be somebody else who's better at it.
But Rico can't get deep and nasty like some of these guys. Some of these guys are really funny.
Yeah, there are.
On both sides.
There are some people funny, and I wish I had a better answer for you because I probably follow a lot of them, or at least some of them, or see some of them. But it doesn't come to mind like who's the most entertaining.
I'd follow Dominic if you don't follow. I don't know what his @ thing is.
Let me give you Dominic's thing. Hold on, because Dominic is a great follow.
Won't be long now.
And then I think you'll find more through Dominic.
Yes, that's a very good way of putting it. So Dominic is Dominic @ Dominic DOMINIC over EL. Dominic over EL, and always a great follow.
Franco, should the Wings trade Bertuzzi if he won't get vaccinated? What if a player is a sovereign citizen and doesn't believe in passports? Sovereign citizen. You can have idiots if they respect the team above their own indulgences, but when they hurt the team, they need to change or go.
I'm with you. I would find it very difficult right now if I were running a team to deal with somebody who was unwilling to be vaccinated on my team. It would be tricky for me.
Gotta love a sovereign citizen. Rules don't apply to me.
But I would love to hear that excuse this hour.
As I'm smoking crack in the middle of downtown. Franco with this. No, Quavarius Crouch. I'm still having nightmares after Cody's story about sleeping over at Hondo's. I keep imagining waking up with Hondo standing next to the bed wearing his eye patch and red kitchen apron and a plate of French toast. Yikes.
Good stuff.
I just wish Cody could have told more of that story. Mr. Neurotic Pants, what do you think of Jason Strayhorn's color commentary? I do like his outburst and screams.
Yeah, I don't listen to their. Obviously I'm covering the games there, and I don't do the radio. Listen to the radio stuff a lot, but I like Jason personally, and the times I have heard things, I think he provides exactly what you want from that. So he knows the game, but he also does give you the emotion. I think the color commentary position in that role as the home radio broadcast ought to have emotion with it.
I tell you what, man, Mel Tucker's rubbing off on you. That was perfect. Mr. Neurotic Pants, will MSU be able to fly under Penn State's or Ohio State's radar?
I don't think so. I mean, I think they ought to try with Ohio State, though. Like, that's a week where you shut the fuck up, you know? Like, you don't say anything. You praise the hell out of them. Because what you don't want to do when a team just got another gear than maybe you have is say something that fires up the locker room or dials them in.
You could say that about pretty much any team, right? You don't want to give them any, what's the thing? Locker room board. What's the board in the locker room? Material. It's hot in here. Mr. Nog Pants, as good of a year as they're having, do you think the Spartans will lose a little progress next year with Kenneth Walker gone?
Well, I don't think it's just him, but yeah, I mean, Walker's made a big difference. And the team will be different. The thing you have to hope for is, they either bring in another really good running back. They have a couple guys I think are good backs. You hope that some of the younger guys on the offensive line continue to grow. J.D. Duplain should be around. Maybe Horst gives them another year. And then you have to hope Peyton Thorne continues to grow. And the way he thinks the game and talks the game, I think Peyton Thorne is going to be really, really good. And at times we've seen that already. I mean, the way he can describe what went wrong and why it went wrong and what he did when things don't go well, I think is a really good sign.
Graham Carpenter, who would win a 5K, Graham or the Rube?
Oh, I would, without question. Yeah.
I mean, can I walk it?
Well, only Therese walks 5Ks. Sorry, Therese.
I don't run anywhere. Graham Carpenter, never been to a live show. What all happens? Is it like the kids say?
A lot of nudity. It'll be fun. It's going to be good.
It'll be a human sacrifice.
Yeah, something like
high.
that. Yeah. No, it'll be fun.
Try to maintain my high.
Yeah, the key is that it's just a chill atmosphere. It's a little different type of show because we're doing it more it'll be available for people who are listening, but it also you're doing it more for people who are there and we may take a break. I mean, the idea, it'll be shorter. The idea is we want to hang out too. I mean, that's the other thing. We don't want to just do a show. We want to hang out with you.
Yeah. Graham Carpenter, this is my first game for Michigan versus MSU for football. Will the environment be crazier compared to basketball for the rivalry game?
It's hard to say because Breslin is, I mean, the acoustics in an indoor basketball facility like Breslin are insane, can get deafening. And I find it hard to find football stadiums that are outdoor that get deafening as easily. So it really depends on the split in the fan base. But I think it's a noon start, so probably not. But I think what you get in a 15,000 indoor basketball arena where people are right on top of you in a big moment is probably greater. But that said, I've been to some moments in that rivalry in the football game where it's incredible in the crowd. And incredible, not always even like crazy noise. I mean, the Michigan crowd, the crowd in Ann Arbor after the Jalen Watts Jackson fumble work is one of the more incredible moments to look around I've ever seen in terms of people watching. So I think you'll enjoy it.
Next one from Graham Carpenter. Can you say flocka-nucleophilification?
Let's find out what this word means.
Flocka-nucleophilification.
I don't know if this is even a word.
Flocknosin.
Oh, it is a word. An action or habit of estimating something is worthless. Jesus.
There's got to be an easier way to describe that.
Who came up with that, asshole?
Yeah, tell me about it. Hans Jurgen. Who was the president the last time Go Blow beat Ohio State twice in a row? Abe Lincoln?
Well, hold on. Give me some more Hoff or something.
Jason,
right.
do you think
that Bill Beekman? All right, I'm pulling this up here. I should have looked this up earlier. So the last time Michigan won twice in a row was...
holy shit.
It's 99-2000. So that was...
great.
Clinton, right? Yeah, Clinton.
Hans, Go Blow will run Northwestern out of the Cereal Bowl on Saturday. Oops, this ain't Hot Take Monday. Okay, what could be worse? Your kid growing up to be a Go Blow fan or being a flat earther?
I'm 100% cool with my kid being a fan of any team they want to be a fan of. The flat earther thing, I'm not. So, yeah, the flat earther is the answer.
Jake Hawkins, how many questions do you think Coach Tucker will get asked about the LSU job at his press conference Monday?
So this is an interesting question because I don't know, but you have to – this is where I wish we could almost get together as a media group and do this right because it does need to be asked.
This is where you miss Hondo, though.
But no, it's where Hondo not being there is somewhat helpful because you need a couple things. One, often you'll have other things you need to get to for stories you want to write. And if you lead with that and you change the tone of the presser, you can sometimes lose out your ability to really get something else. So sometimes you don't want it to be you who's asking if you need to get to other things. The flip side of that is you need somebody who's able to ask it tactfully and not accusatory. This is where like a fan journalist can be a problem, or if you're trying to be too Walter Cronkite or I've caught you as a candidate for the LSU job. You know, what's going on? We need answers. Bullshit. You don't need that, right? You need it to, you need somebody to address it correctly. I don't know how many times. Hopefully he'll get asked once and he'll give an answer that suffices.
Next one from the Hawk. Thoughts about Jacob Panachuk having the most quarterback pressures in the country, even more than Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are on the comparison. I've seen some comparisons, though, statistically that give it to Hutchinson in terms of opportunities and things like that. Panachuk's having a hell of a year. I don't think there's any question about it. And he's come up in big times. He's forced fumbles. I mean, he's been absolutely fantastic.
Jake Hawkins, do you think the Lions should try and be the third team in a rumored trade with the Texans and Dolphins in order to bring Tua in to replace Goff?
What are your I don't hate Tua. It seems like people don't think Tua's a good player. I think Tua's pretty good. I don't think they should. I don't know if he's the future, but I don't know. I don't hate Tua.
I mean, is the injury concerns with Tua, that's the problem. I just think the Lions should stay away from the Texans and Dolphins, period.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Next one from Jake. Do you think the Pistons should try and make a trade for Ben Simmons?
No, you don't want to take on that contract. You got guys who are making a lot less, with Cade Cunningham, who's going to be running the show. You don't want Ben Simmons. The team that ought to trade for Ben Simmons, I don't understand why this isn't done, is the Portland Trailblazers. To me, you're just riding out the clock there with Dame Lillard. You could have you've got CJ McCollum, who might be able to trade back. You need your ceiling to rise. You've got to take a risk. And I don't think Philly's just going to give them up for nothing. Philly then gets quality back. To me, that's the trade that happens. And
it'll never happen. I mean, Daryl Morey is a genius. I love that. He's like, well, this thing could take 4 years.
Well, but
so he's not going to just give up Ben Simmons for pennies on the dollar.
That's why it's got to be like CJ McCollum. It's got to be somebody of talent that gives them something.
I'd let him sit. Next one from Jake. How do you think Nick Rolovich's lawsuit will go against Washington State? Will he ever coach football ever again, or does he get the fuck out of football?
I mean, it's not going to go well, the lawsuit. But in terms of whether he coaches again, I don't know. I mean, he won't coach. I don't doubt he coaches major college football ever again.
Like an assistant or something, or head coach?
It's possible. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what the feelings are about this a few years from now.
All right. Jake, thoughts on Bob Huggins' recent comments about how March Madness NCAA tournaments should just go away and that bigger conferences and leagues should have their own tournaments?
I like Bob Huggins, but this is asinine. The magic and the Cinderella of March Madness is part of what makes March Madness. Like those first two rounds, like that's what I don't get this. Like what's the Mercer beats Duke or when that happens? Like that's fun. Like why would we ever not want those games involved? And I do not get this at all. It's just asinine.
Last one for the week, Jake Hawkins. How long will the live tailgate show be on October 30th?
Thanks for setting this up, Jake. We appreciate you. We're probably looking at something like, an hour.
What?
About an hour.
An hour?
45 minutes, maybe.
45 minutes?
Either way, we'll be there for a while. So it's going to start around 9:30, and we'll go for a while. I probably need to, scram by 11. But we'll be there. We'll have breakfast. We'll chat. It'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. And hope you're there, Jake. So the Coolidge Road, East Lansing location for Skymint. We appreciate Skymint, and you don't need to wait. Go to Skymint any day and make Skymint part of your weekend, as Jason and I do just about every weekend. And want to also thank Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management. If you've got money you need to get working for you in the market, or you just have questions about investing, Mark and Jay are there for you, 248-626-2000 or info@northcoastwm.com. Thanks to Groovy Donuts, Halloween donuts, available now. Groovy Donuts, thanks to Midtown Brewing Company, great place for brunch. Have a great weekend. Couch in the Roof.